Hey there YouTube, Jimmy with To The Top Crane. And I had a request for some footage of the winches. So I figured I would record some. I just got back from a job I was out with the 80-4 over there. But on the 200 or the 180G-5, this is the auxiliary winch. You can see we have it tied back. We don't run this rope out unless we need to use it for something. You know, if we're standing something up, we can tail our own piece with the second winch, or you know, if you got the jib swung and you want to run the auxiliary or the whip line on the jib and then use your main winch for the block. So that would be another case that you would use it. But anyway, here's the auxiliary winch, 1100 feet of rope on it, and then up there is the main winch. It also has 1100 feet. It's technically it's 21.5 millimeter, but I just call it 21 millimeter. Both drums have 1100 feet on them. And then winch motor, it is a piston type motor. Inside here is a brake, so there is a spring applied hydraulically released brake that holds the drum in place until you give it signal that you want it to start either winching down or winching up, and then hydraulic pressure releases the brake on the drum and the winch motor takes over at that point. So it's the same setup on the main winch. It's just buried up there in front of the cylinders. Those cylinders actually raise and lower the counterweight stack. They also the rod rotates 90 degrees and locks itself to the counterweight stack and then raises the counterweight stack up. But anyway, Walter Matson was the one that asked for video on winches, so I thought I'd make one for him. Let's see if I can find something for reference to give you an idea of the size. This is a Samsung Galaxy S8. So that's a pretty decent sized smartphone. I'll give you an idea of the size. Also, I guess while I'm talking about the winch, I'll show you this termination. This isn't a conventional becket like what you would find on most crane ropes. This has a button that's attached to the end of the rope, and then this becket has a notch. Let's see, on this other side. And the inside of this becket is machined to accept that button. So it makes it a lot faster to knock that off of there when you have to change parts of line on the block, or you know, reeve this down through the end of the boom and whatnot. I've got a conventional becket that we keep in this crane just in case our rope were to get damaged. We can cut it off, throw the regular becket on, and still like set our counterweights and stuff off, get us back to the shop. So I'll get that becket out and I'll show you guys that. Okay, so this is a conventional style or conventional wedge style becket that you could make a cable termination on the end of the rope with it. What it is you see you have a larger opening here, and then this radius fits the rope, and then you have this wedge. So the way this works is your cable end would come down through the top. So I'm going to try to follow my hand here. I'm trying to record this by myself. It's kind of a pain. But your rope will come in through the top, and then you make a loop in it. And you bring the end of the rope back out the top on this side, the angled side. And you slip this wedge inside the loop, and then you pull everything tight. And what it does is this wedge actually friction fits between the rope, or friction fits the rope to the inside of the becket. Now, I'll show you when you shove this in here. Hopefully you can see up in there how tight of an area that makes, or how small of an area that makes. So basically it wedges that cable against the sides of the inside of the becket. Now when you do that, you have to leave a tail sticking out of the top of at least 6 inches, so it's got to be a minimum 6-inch tail. On 21mm rope, I'd probably prefer to have 10 inches to a foot sticking out. And then you have to have a cable clamp and another piece of rope the same size, 21mm or 21.5, and you use that other piece of rope and the cable clamp and you attach it to the dead end of the rope. And what that does is it creates a stop in case for some reason that rope would try to slide through here. That creates an anchor point or a stop that prevents the rope from slipping through. I have never seen one slide through as long as the wedge was installed correctly. There are some wedges, you can see this one's uniform both sides. There are some wedges that are straight up one side and curved or angled on the other. So if you have a straight wedge, that straight side has to go to the live side of the rope, and the live side of the rope is the one that runs around and straight up and terminates on the other end at the winch. So that's your live side, and then the side that comes out with the tail is the dead side. So if this wedge were straight up this side, that has to go to the live side of the rope. Then the tapered side goes towards the dead side of the rope. If you get that in there backwards, that wedge will not grip it, and then it could come apart. We've got some of these reeved on our other cranes. Just the 2 Tadanos are the ones that have the button on the end. So I'll try to get some footage of one that's actually reeved, show you guys what it looks like. Okay, hopefully the lighting's decent enough where you can see this. But this is a conventional becket on our 50-ton Manotex. It's a 5128. So you can see, I'll lift the anti-2 block weight up. The rope comes down the straight side of the becket. This one actually does have a straight-sided wedge, and this wedge has a notch in it for the cable clamp, so this doesn't get an extra piece of rope attached to it for a stop. This one clamps the rope directly to the wedge, and you can see the tail sticking up out of the top.